Welcome to Between the Business Cards, a podcast that helps business professionals take their network and sales skills to the next level. And now, here are your hosts, Martina and Brandon Suba.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Between the Business Cards. I'm Brandon Suba with Valley Construction.
And I'm Martina Niemeyer with Centersphere.
And this podcast is to help you in your networking world, maybe in your sales world, just people out there trying to grow their business through the power of referral. And we like to bring you the tips and tricks that we've learned over the years. And I'm super excited about today's topic.
I am too.
This was kind of inspired by you, actually, because you've been dealing with this, I feel, more than not lately. And then I've always kind of had an opinion on this topic. So I thought it was fun that we're going to bring that opinion to you. And I want to be very clear. These are our opinions. And
yes,
for the most part, Martina and I, we agree on most things.
Sure.
On average. So feel free to blow up the comments on what you think about this, because we would love to know. And if enough people say enough stuff, we'll probably do another show on it just to say how different people feel about our opinion. So you want to introduce the topic? I always introduce the topic.
Sure.
Let's do it.
We're going to talk about business cards. And when we talk about business cards, it's not just whether or not you should have them, but what kind of business cards, because we are living in an age where there's a lot of options. And obviously with a lot of options comes a lot of opinions, which you were kind of talking about there. And then there's the systems and processes that we build around what we're getting from other people and how that all works. And so, we're going to talk digital versus physical business cards today.
Yeah. Now, we plan on doing other shows about kind of the more processes and stuff that you talked about. Today, what we want to touch on is kind of the pros and cons that we have seen or experienced on these two different types of cards. So let's start with where I think our age kind of affects us a little bit on this one. Are you going to get mad? Is it
because we're old?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. We're really not that old.
No,
but
and we did not use ChatGPT for this, but if we did, we'd probably tell you. All right, so digital cards. Most common experience I've had with these is there's two. One, they can text you the card, or two, you can even tap. And I have, you can go to the YouTube page if you want to see it, but I have a bracelet and you can tap with a phone and it gives you a prayer. So it's not a business card, but you can do the exact same thing with business cards. Sure. And then it gives you the digital card. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced any other?
There's physical cards as well. There's like a button on the back of phones. They have a lot of different things. They're trying to make it very easy for you to always have it on you, which is actually one of the pros that we talk about. Correct. These are always on you. It's hard to forget them, because how often do you walk into any event, any stage of your life really, without your phone? And a lot of them are attached to or in conjunction with your phone. And so you always have these things on you. And you're not going to forget them, right? For the most part. There's obviously maybe a random day that just went wonky, but for the most part, you're going to have these things on you, and you're going to be ready to, exchange information in that format in more of a digital way. Okay,
so a pro, it's on your phone. Yeah. Another pro is they're less expensive, aka I don't think unless you invest in like the card or the button or something, there's really no investment on there. I know for me, and as much as I'm going to bash digital cards, I kind of have one. Well, what I did is I made my own contact as myself, Brandon J. Suba, in my phone, and I can text that to people if I don't have the information. So I did not invest into any of the apps or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I will just send you my contact information, basically, is how I do it. And I don't love doing that. But again, that's all you got. That's all I got.
And sometimes that's what people prefer. And that's really where we're going to come down to a little bit is, what do you prefer? What does the person that you're working with prefer? And you kind of have to find a happy medium on that to make sure it's working for both sides of, the relationship building that you're doing. The less expensive piece. Now, we have not necessarily gone in and looked at all of it and analyzed this card does this and this piece is this and this is how much these subscription plans are. In general, we are figuring it probably is a little cheaper to do the digital, because it is something that you could create, like Brandon has said, a free version necessarily, or you could have something that has maybe a low monthly subscription fee or something like that. But exactly the comparables on, well, you order 1,000 business cards and it costs this much and all that. We did not do.
No.
So we can't speak to that in a hard way. We're just like assuming.
I guess we could have used ChatGPT.
We could.
Comment if you took the time to do it. And then the last pro, my favorite one, is they're always ready and you never run out. Because I know I have run out of business cards at events. It's always the one that you're like, oh, I'm probably not even going to stay that long. I'm just going to take a couple cards. And then you meet 5 amazing connections and you only brought 2 cards. Or if you go to a chapter or something and everybody says, hey, we want your card. You have that. You may not have enough for the whole group. So with the digital, you've got it limited.
Well, and I just saw one of the cons we put on something else could be a pro for the digital. If you have a change you make, if you have a title in, or maybe it's a phone number or your email address changes or whatever that happens to look like, a rebrand happens, all of that. It's pretty easy to change those things because you just go in and edit what you need to edit.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about the cons on the digital side. So you said it a little earlier, it's the other person's preference is a big piece of this.
Sure.
My biggest struggle with digital cards is, for the most part, what I've experienced is it takes you to a link. And I close my tabs out quite a bit, I find. And if you close the tab out, then they're gone. And then I've even tried to make it a new practice where I save it into my phone. But I'll be honest with you, I don't always remember people's names.
Yeah.
And so if I saved a Josh in my phone, I might have multiple Joshes and I can't even narrow it down to the one that I actually need to contact. So that's my struggle. For my preference, I don't want it to be a link, or you've even said a text, just because if I'm at an event, I'm moving, grooving, I'm on to the next thing. I'm not going to remember to save that, or I'm not going to keep that tab open. And then I lose the information. Yeah,
and I would say the falling through the cracks piece is a big piece that is a con for me. Is I use them as a way to follow up, as a way for me to remember a conversation that I had, for me to, know, oh, that's right, I met Brandon and I needed to, contact him about whatever it might be. And if I don't have it, if it's just this thing in my phone, I've had a couple of them. People are like, oh, I just share it and it saves it as a contact in your phone. That's great if I had a phone that was only business, but I happen to use my phone for both business and personal, and there's probably a whole episode on that we could do, to be honest, but I just didn't want to keep track of more than one thing. And so when they go into my contacts, they're literally going into my personal world of contacts too. And so now it's just so much to filter through, and it's just another contact. It doesn't tell me anywhere that it added it.
Right.
And so I lose it. It's gone.
So no physical reminders, kind of using those cards as the helpful. And I do that too. I put it in my wallet and then I'll clean out my wallet and I'll have 3 cards and then I'll leave it on my desk. And right now, my wife and I are sharing an office currently, so she gets pretty mad about it, but she'll be back in the office pretty soon. Her own office, so it's fine. But yes, the physical reminder is a big piece that you don't get, and then it gets lost within your phone. Sure. And then like you said, that's just kind of falling through the cracks.
It can.
On the follow-up. On the follow-up.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about the classic, the actual physical card.
Yes.
Can't tell. I think this is our preference.
I do prefer this one, and I can give you a host of reasons why, and we'll talk about some of them. But I love that reminder piece. Mm-hmm. We were just talking about that. That's a big pro for me when it comes to the physical business cards. I will make notes on them for people, which Brandon just told me as we were talking about this. In some countries, that is very insulting. So make sure that if you choose to adopt this habit, you are not insulting people while doing it.
To be clear, these were international conferences, and I just kind of got a rundown from somebody. In America, you should be absolutely okay, but there are some cultures that is one of the biggest insults in a business is to write on their business card, which I found interesting because I do that. I write on business cards.
Yeah. I'll write who I need to connect them with, or what my follow-up might be, or what the conversation was that we had very quickly, so that it just jumpstarts my mind a little bit, because we do a lot of networking. And we talked about, there's times that we can go to several networking events in 1 week. And so when you are doing that and you are with that many people, there's a lot of different conversations that you had, a lot of follow-up that you want to have, because it would be valuable for that person and yourself and the relationship that you're developing, and then you don't remember what you talked about.
Nope.
So I do write on them, and they are a really helpful reminder to me. We actually talked about like strategy of like 2 pockets, and I have like one pocket that has my business cards in them, and then I have one pocket that I'm like collecting. And that way I can just know that the right pocket of my pants has all of these, business cards that I need to follow up with. And I do. I have a spot on my desk like you were talking about and stuff like that. Yep.
Liz actually got me a business card holder.
Oh, nice.
It's cute, but then I don't know how to alphabetize it. Because if I go by name, I can't remember the name. And if I go by business, I won't remember who it. I'm working on it. Not in this episode. Okay, something else that Martina pointed out is there's something to be said about exchanging a tangible item. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good exchange. I think it's a classic exchange in business to physically hand somebody a card. And again, we're not super old, but we've been in business for a while.
Sure.
And I think that's a wonderful habit to have. Yes, you exchange business cards when you reach a certain level of credibility or visibility, whichever one you pick on that, where it just doesn't happen with the phone. It's kind of just like, tap.
Yeah. And I guess that it almost feels like a piece gets missed.
Yes.
And then I don't remember as well, and I don't follow up the same way, or I think about it later on and wonder how to get back to that information. The tangible item is just, I don't know, there's something about it.
I would agree. And then the last one is, you can't put a digital card in for drawings. You need a real card. And I love when there's always areas you can write your name and information on. Mm-hmm. I've had to draw cards multiple times. I'm feeling, not on purpose, but I'm definitely feeling for like a card when I do the drawings. I want to pull out a card. Sure. So I think sometimes, and again, if you're just going to events for drawings, you might want to reevaluate why you're networking, but it is nice to just have a card you drop, you move on. Plus, if you fill out the information on a sheet of paper, there's only so much information you put on there. Mm-hmm. Because, surprise, the people hosting usually use those business cards as a source of connecting, contacts, whatever that looks like. You don't always give all your information, like your address and stuff, if you just write it on there.
Well, and then you are also relying on the fact that maybe everybody has legible handwriting.
I don't.
And so this is only coming from a person who's had to read the sign-in sheets.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
And so if you like to just kind of put your signature down, it's always beneficial to have a card that somebody's looking at, because it's normally printed pretty clearly.
Unless, have you ever seen a black ink on a black card? I have.
That's fun.
It was not in Nebraska. It was in a different state, but it was. And they said it really stood out. I'm like, yeah, but you can't read it.
But nobody knows who you are.
You had to hold
Which doesn't mean that it's effective.
No, I would agree with that. Okay, anyways. Cons. If you make a change and you just printed business cards, this has happened in my world. Mm-hmm. You got to buy all brand new ones, or you're always using possibly outdated branding, which that's a big expense and investment, both. And then like it just stinks to have to go through 100 cards of old branding when you've got new. Yeah. Or if you change a number.
Because you're normally kind of excited when you get new branding. So if you make any changes, or if they make a mistake on printing it, I've actually had people have this happen where, their name got spelled wrong, or they spelled the company's name wrong, or they got promoted like the week after they got their business cards, and they had to then go in and write their new title, because obviously they're excited they have a new title, but...
Oh, gosh, this reminds me. This is an old one. They used to say that your business card is the smallest billboard you can put in front of somebody. Oh. But then they would also say, if you paid money for a billboard, would you go up and paint over something and just write on there? Probably not. Right? Not. So kind of same thing about if you're scratching out your cell phone and writing a new number and all that. I don't know. I wouldn't judge it.
Sure.
But apparently it can be something people judge. Did we talk about running out or forgetting?
We did not.
Okay, so I love this one because I went to a networking conference and I'm on the airplane and I realized all my business cards, which had just been printed, were sitting on my desk. It was a 3-day conference. I made it 1 full day and about 2 hours in before somebody had asked me for a card. I'd been asking everybody ahead of it. So I'd beat them to the punch, but then finally I had somebody, they came up and they're like, oh, I really wanted to get your card. I'm like, I don't have
and we did talk about that. If you are the one that doesn't have the business cards and you're collecting them, I mean, some of the processes in that change.
Yes.
So, having those physical ones can be really beneficial because, then you're not necessarily always on the hook, even though it is awesome to be the one that's following up. But running out or forgetting, being female, I run into a little bit of a different situation. I change out purses. I change out jackets. A lot of things like that. I've even had it that I've had a kiddo of mine clean out a car, and she took all of my business cards out because she was thoroughly cleaning out the car. She's a very thorough individual. Yeah. And then I had nothing, and I show up to a networking event and I'm like, hey, yes, I do this for a job, and no, I do not have a business card. So I spent a lot of time collecting that day. But the hard part is if somebody had digital and that doesn't work necessarily with my processes, it was really, really difficult because we ran into an impasse there a little bit. So yeah, for sure.
That sounded like a pretty rough day, but at least you had a clean car.
Yeah, I did have a clean car, and it was lovely.
And the last one on the list, people can lose your physical card.
Yes.
Digital, it is on your phone. It is in your phone somewhere, be it a tab on your browser, whatever that looks like. Physical cards can absolutely be lost. And I think you were talking about an event. You didn't lose the card, you just never collected it, or?
No, I just did laundry. And I washed cards. So also check your pockets. But you didn't know you were going to get laundry tips on this episode. But yes, I did have that happen where they were lost in a sense, but because they disintegrated.
So, that's a bummer summer. Okay, so these are our opinions, what we feel are pros and cons of digital versus a physical card. Again, I think we kind of expressed we like the physical just because of the processes we put in that. But I am meeting more and more entrepreneurs and business owners that they're really figuring out the digital world. I feel, really building ourselves up in CRMs.
Yes.
We're now to the point that both of us are kind of creating our own to fit our business.
Sure.
Which has been a fun ride. A lot of good conversations there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But same thing. If you're building those processes and digital's really good, tell us about it. We want to hear about it. Or if you have just near and dear, true, tried and true. If tried and true.
Yep.
We're not editing this out either. You guys get this whole
tried and true.
Thank you. With the regular card. Tell us about that, because we want to know about that too.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely want to hear the things that we're missing on things, or if you have more questions, or if there's ways you've used them that we haven't mentioned. Yeah. Maybe there's super huge benefits that because we haven't played in a certain space long enough, we haven't figured out exactly how to make it all work for us.
Yeah.
One thing that we also talked about, you can take a physical card and you can turn it digital, because we have digital scanners now, and they'll scan it in and there's your information. So you almost get the benefit of both worlds with just having that. So I don't know. There's a lot of things out there. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
All right. So with that, share, like. We asked for a bunch of comments on this one, and we hope to kind of spark up a conversation. And then don't forget, you can always go see us in my very loud polo I decided to wear on the Centersphere YouTube page.
Yes.
Check it out there. But other than that, we look forward to talking to you on a future podcast.
Have a great day.